Nigeria's journey to economic recovery is hinged on many factors. Some say people should pay more taxes, some say we should optimize our oil and gas sectors, while some argue that agriculture is our saving grace. In all these, what are the roles government need to play in shifting the narrative and widening the scope of our efforts as a nation towards economic recovery? This is the Eastern Eye. I am Alex Obodo. You're welcome. This is the Eastern Eye on Afia TV. It's a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is Dr. Augustine Okolie. He's a policy and management consultant and former director, National Orientation Agency, Enugu State. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you for having me. I welcome viewers.
So the first thing I would ask is that there is a proposal already that has passed through second reading at the Senate that for tax reforms, they are asking richer Nigerians to pay more. The proposal contains something like if you're earning less than $1 million a year, you shouldn't be taxed. Well, of course, those who are earning higher should be paying more. And it created quite some scenes at the Senate on Wednesday. I'm sure you've seen quite a bit of that. Senator Ndume and the other senator from Bauchi were vociferous about their opposition to have Mr. Zach Adedeji speak to the Senate about shaking up the taxes of the country. It's quite an intricate discussion, isn't it? When you talk about tweaking the taxing system in a country, some of the governors don't quite like it. I mean, what do you make of all that argument, the push and pull of it?
Well, thank you so much. Your question is very, very apt. What I saw at the Senate, the plenary, is a situation where they are being divisive, looking at their locations, the geolocation arguments. Ndume and his colleague, we are talking about a reflection of the Northern Intelligentsia rejecting the tax bill in entirety. Remember, there was a time the Northern Elders Forum or Council and the Arewa Consultative Council also, they tried to kind of saying that it is not in the interest of the North. So I didn't see how a tax regime or tax framework is anti-North or use your location to begin to assess and evaluate the propriety of the tax. But I think what the federal government is doing at the moment is they're trying to lean more on the Bretton Woods organizations and institutions like that of IMF, IBR, that's the one they call the World Bank, their advice of how to rejig and ramp up their tax collection. But I believe that that is okay. But what they should do, what I expect, is for them to expand the tax base, the tax net, so that they have to generate more employment. So the more the people who are employed, then talking about pay as you earn, payee, they will also increase the number of people paying tax. Now, if we go by the way they are saying, let the rich pay higher and the poor, contribute to the tax net, I think that is the principle of the tax bill, which I think the National Assembly have started debating, whether it is at the committee level now or whether they have passed it. But I see people who are arguing based on sentiments, based on where they come from, anti-North tax bill and so on. I don't understand that. Well, I think they took it to the point of the VAT, the value added tax, how 60% of what is collected should go to where it is derived, the derivation, and so on. But all the same, I think it is good that companies pay tax, because there is that tax of pay as you earn, and the one they call the sales tax, or the VATables, the ones that it is pay as you consume. So, but there is a point in what some people are saying, like most of the banks have their headquarters in Lagos. Most of the oil companies have their headquarters either in Rivers State, Port Harcourt, or also in Lagos, without minding where the oil is consumed, without minding whether it is telephone, whether it is beverages, that is alcohol, who took what, but they check and calculate it from the point of the headquarters who declare the tax, the consumption tax, as the one, the sales tax, consumption VAT. So I think that is what they are arguing. That some people might consume something in Kano, but the headquarters of the producers are in Lagos. So Lagos wants to take the lion's share of where it is derived. They declare their tax in Lagos, they declare their tax in Abuja, they declare their tax in, the OICs in Rivers State, Port Harcourt. So, but that is not the point of consumption. Talking about the telephony, where you recharge your phone and where it is calculated, I think that is the area that some people are arguing much. But it is important that we ramp up our tax collection and they give more jobs so that more people will pay tax. That is what we encourage government to do. Because if fewer people are working, then the pay as you earn tax collectibles will now go down, will point south. But if more people are working, then that is what they say, expanding the tax base. But the bill is, a kind of like a Lagos bill. Lagos state government is claiming that the tax is generated from Lagos, but other people, maybe most people who are more vocal, are coming from the northern part of the country. They are saying that it is anti-North, because when they share the VAT or the tax earnings, Lagos will get much more. Like if you compare what the Imo State people collect and what Lagos State collects, 17% and 1.7% are light years away in comparison. So that is what people who are arguing.
But this is about the quantum of activity that happens in those locations. It's not that anyone wants to marginalize any state, because there is also that argument regarding alcoholic drinks. Okay, you don't take alcohol in the north, so why are you interested in the monies accruing from VAT? It's a very valid argument, but I'm not sure anyone is approaching that argument that way. So if your argument is that you're even destroying alcoholic goods belonging to people or businesses in the north, why do you still wholeheartedly accept value-added tax accruing from alcoholic sales?
That is a very good point. But if you do a proper check, if you go to Kano, there's area they call the Sabongare area. That is the visitors, those who are not Muslims, like the people who are not indigens from Kano. They consume a lot of alcohol there. Also in Kaduna, they have northern Kaduna, they have southern part of Kaduna. The northern part of Kaduna, they have largely Muslims who don't, in quote, consume alcohol, whereas the southern are Christians. Most people there also consume alcohol. But the argument is on derivatives. Where is it derived? Where is it consumed? If the tax is placed on maybe a brewery if the brewery headquarters, where the tax people go, tax officials go to get their tax calculation, the tax declaration, this is how much. That it is not the place of consumption, it's where they have their headquarters. I think that they are making a point there. But as for consumption of cigarettes, alcohol, pork meat, that the North don't consume, I think they will also say, we will not take tax from the, will not also share the VAT. Remember, the problem is the system we are running. If you ask me, I would say if they decentralize and devolve power, let states contribute to the center and not the other way around. So that wherever you are, you consume there and declare a tax, sales and consumption tax from there. Now, but they're not doing that as a federation, those who are running federalism. That is what we are urging government to do, to properly use this opportunity and go back to federalism, because it's just like a unitary system. MTN, Glo, Airtel, all of them have their headquarters in Lagos. But those who are consuming those are not in Lagos. Those who are consuming the alcohol are not only in Lagos. So, but their headquarters where the tax are declared and calculated is in Lagos. So Lagos will now take the credit that this is where, and that is how people are contesting. I think the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, when he was governor of Rivers State, also contended that states should collect the tax that the FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue, tax people should collect. Yeah, so he went to court.
Yeah, he went to court.
Yes, he went to court, and some governors joined. But at a point, I don't know what happened to that court action. It was the same argument that federal government are collecting tax, the tax that states are supposed to collect. And even say collect the tax that local governments are supposed to collect. So there is this topsy-turvy mix-up there. It could be clearly defined if you run a federal system that we should. I also argue, coming to the political angle, where people say, let INEC conduct the election in states. In a federal system, a centralized, electoral agency should not conduct the election in all the states if you want to copy America right. America, they conduct their elections, even presidential elections, by their states and declare the results independent of any central. But that is how federalism, I continue to urge Nigerians to run federalism or make it a centralized state. You see also the national grid that is always slumping and collapsing. It's because we centralize things. If you allow states, like you can see what is going on now, Enugu State have now organized themselves, made a law that can now generate, transmit, and they distribute. It is going on now. So very soon, we will not have that idea that if the national grid collapses, Enugu people will not know that it has collapsed. Then they will now be able to pay and generate and enjoy the power that is generated. So this centralization or over-centralization of processes in Nigeria is why all this argument is going on. If states should collect the tax and contribute to the center, that is what it's supposed to be, then all these arguments will not come to place. But as we speak, I don't know where the argument is taking us now. Some people are saying it is true, even though the people from the north, the Muslims, tell us that they don't consume alcohol. I am not so sure. Everybody will swear that they have not taken alcohol. But some people are living in those areas who are consuming alcohol. So if it is sales or consumption tax, they should also partake in the sharing. But it is the calculation that is where the question mark is. How do you calculate it? How do you determine the quantity consumed if it is sales and consumption tax? I think that is where the arithmetic is having question mark all over the place.
Great. I'm going to wait for that to continue unfolding out there at the National Assembly. And we'll quickly move into the issue of the oil and gas industry in the country. So on Tuesday, we were told, we saw on TV, that the Port Harcourt refinery suddenly came on stream. We were told all nice things, that it's working at 70% capacity. But some guys show up on TV, I think this morning, and they're telling everyone that it was just a charade, that refinery It's not really what they are saying it is. That the oil that they distributed that day was the oil that was there all this while. That you should watch. It was only 4 trucks that loaded from that refinery. I've not been to Port Harcourt refinery, but that's the claim from some guys who say they are from the area where the refinery is sited. So they are close to the place. They know when people are bringing in stuff and whether the refinery is working. So do you think all this is about the Dangote refinery and the fear that despite it being, unquote, a saving grace for Nigeria, is that saving grace choking some people within the oil and gas business?
Well, I think, let me take responsibility for what I think. I think they're not telling Nigerians the whole truth. I think there is something they are hiding from the Nigerian people. Something is fishy somewhere. Because I learned that NNPCL is a limited liability company. And if it's a limited liability company, they should take the credit if anything happens to a refinery, whether it is rehabilitated. But I saw people congratulating the president, or the president congratulating the NNPC. And people are going to clink glasses, in celebration of achievement, of a milestone by the government. But who owns NNPCL as we speak? So who is responsible for the reviving and reawakening the NNPC and the refinery that has 60,000 capacity? And why is it that it is now that that Dangote have decided to peg 970 naira per liter? And even the ones got from Port Harcourt, the one that has come on stream, is also 1,040-something naira a liter. This time around, it is not imported. It's not dancing according to the foreign naira exchange. There's no dollar involved. It's now a totally local.
Why the differential?
So I don't know. And two, I don't want to go by that conjecture that maybe they are blending something and calling it PMS. And some people are saying that it is not even yet Uhuru, it is not yet PMS that they are producing. Remember when crude petroleum is cracked distillation, you have various down the value chain. From Jet A fuel, PMS, AGO, and all sorts of diesel and kerosene, down to bitumen, So, and nobody's telling us anything about that. They have also gone to court to tell Nigerians the gas resources, how much gas are we producing, what quantity, how much are we supplying, how much are we selling, how much are the accruals. Nobody has been able to tell Nigerians. Even the petroleum, how much we produce a day. About a few days ago, Nigerians came thumping their chest that they will hit Eureka 1.8 million barrels a day. And there's other reports showing 1.5 million barrels. So we don't know which one is correct, going by their own data. But the important thing is that things are looking up, and they are congratulating themselves. Nigerians are saying, we are saying, how does it impact? How does it affect Nigerians? Has the price come down? Because what we want is wherever it is coming from, let the price come down.
Well, let me ask you sincerely, Dr. Koli, do you think that the price of petroleum products will crash in the country, especially PMS?
Yes.
Do you think it will? Do you think it will crash significantly?
I think if they tell us the truth, that if the local refinery begin to work, nobody will tell us about the freight, the transportation, the dollar-naira exchange rate, because all is done in naira. They are done domestically. So it's supposed to at least come down very, very very significantly.
So typically, you think that the reason why they are enjoying the mystery is the fact that they are saying that they are important.
They are important, yes.
Once they are important, they can quote anything.
Of course, they have floated naira. And they're also telling us the international market. They're also telling us, by way of evaluation, the value of naira versus dollar. And it is imported. You calculate the inefficiency. You calculate the freighting. You calculate the demurrage. You calculate the transportation. So when you do all those calculations, they will tell you the landing cost. But if it is not coming from anywhere, it's not landing, it is coming from our backyard, from Port Harcourt, from Kaduna, from Warri refineries. If they begin to work, the impact should be very, very positive. Then the market forces, because market forces, from what I know from elementary economics, is demand and supply mechanism. That is what affects the price, the cost. So if it is done locally and in Naira value, forget about Naira crude swap that they do. Some people go outside, go to Malta, and come back and say that it is imported. And now begin to quote the Naira 1,600 Naira, and they sell, what is it called, PMS. And it's because PMS, we are more interested in PMS and diesel, because diesel drives the industry. PMS drives the polity. If the price of this wild goose chase about inflation will, within 1 week, come down if the price of petroleum comes down significantly. And it is because we are importing them. Now, if by any magic, they begin to flow from Port Harcourt, from Warri and Kaduna, nobody will tell us any story. After all, when Jonathan was there, it was 87 Naira, not up to 100 Naira. So if he goes there, we'll be talking about, I saw somebody saying, at least give us, 1 liter for 200 Naira. Because so if he comes down 500, 400, within that range, Nigerians will smile and things will come down, because our economy is built around generating power by ourselves, generating security by ourselves, transportation, logistics. So that is where the problem is. But they're not telling us the truth. They want us to buy what other people are buying, but we own it. And government, by way of reasons and meaning of government, is to bring welfare, to make things easier for the people, and to secure the people. That is why people now, the modern world have decided to engage government. That governance is what they deliver to the people, particularly in a democratic setting. Even the military have not got the guts to treat Nigerians the way the political elite are treating Nigerians. So there's something they are hiding. They have to come out. There have to be competition. They accused Dangote of trying to, enforce a monopoly. But now, I don't know, if let them work now so that they have no monopoly, they let them crash the price.
They have 3 more refineries.
Let one even work now. The impact will be heavy. Then before Kaduna and the Warri and the LMA, and in Port Harcourt, they have 2 refineries. So if they come on stream, then what is the meaning to go and import a refinery? You sell crude and import. It is a shame. I think it's a shame.
Absolute shame it is. And we'll take a break here on the Eastern Eye. When we return, I'll find out from Dr. Augustine Okolie what his thoughts are about whether agriculture will be Nigeria's saving grace. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. You're welcome back. This is the Eastern Eye, and we are live from Enugu, Southeast Nigeria. And this is Afia Television. My name is Alex Obodo, and I still have in the studio with me Dr. Augustine Okolie. He's a policy and management consultant and former director of National Orientation Agency, Enugu State. So, agriculture, everyone says, plant more food, do this, do that. And but then, do we actually have the value chain for all that? Just plant more cassava, plant more yam, plant more beans, everything. When we finish planting all that tomatoes and all that, where do you keep the excess? What happens? What are we supposed to be doing anytime we make that noise about agriculture?
Well, Nigerians are, endowed naturally with the resources, natural resources that can make us depend and rely on agriculture. But there are a few things we need to do to prioritize agriculture and to stick to the policy of consuming what we eat, what we produce, and producing what we consume. I think it was the former administration of Muhammadu Buhari that came up with that mantra. If we should go by that, I hope the other 35 states should come to Enugu. From what I'm seeing, from Governor Peter Mbah's administration, all the local governments, local governments are coming out with a couple of hectares they're going to plant, particularly when they have those crops that have comparative advantage in their area due to their soil type, due to their soil size, due to their tenure, land tenure system. That is one. Two, the Ministry of Agriculture in Enugu have also, come to terms with this reliability on agriculture, livestock, agriculture, in terms of planting more crops, more cassava, acquiring lands, preparing them, bringing down tractors that will enable, easy and, cultivation. But the problem is that government is not, looking at that side. When I talk about the central government, remember, it is the governors that own the land. The Land Use Decree or the Land Use Act, bestows on governors, on states, the ownership of the land. And all the 6 states, if they begin to encourage farming, if they begin to also to go into farming, particularly those ones who have advantage. In the Southwest, you know about cocoa, you know about palm produce in the Southeast. We know about cotton and the granite pyramid that used to be in Kano. If every state governor begin to rely on what they can produce, I would say we have come to Eureka. But the truth about government's inactivity is that even insecurity do not allow farmers to go to their farms. They have to secure the farms so that farmers can go to their farms and plant and get bumper harvest. And it will reflect. Talking about the post-harvest losses that we talked about, they go into processing. Like in Enugu now, Enugu is talking about agriculture and industrialization, whereby they process and add value to whatever they produce here. Cassava, yam. They're talking about bioethanol here. They're talking about investing almost 100 billion in palm UPPL, as United Palm Product, Enugu UPPL. And they're talking about processing the M&A industry, where they want to process some of the cassava pellets, yam pellets, and whatever they produce, they put it into sunrise meal, where they now use sunlight flour meal. So it is a way of whatever you produce, you put it under industrialization, you process them, add value, employ people, so that there will not be any post-harvest losses. You also store them in silos and put them and release them when you have scarcity. So state governments who the law have empowered to take over the ownership of. That is when sometimes I begin to wonder what federal government is doing in agriculture, having a Ministry of Agriculture, when they should encourage, at least secure the lands. What they should do is to secure the land, make available loans and grants, make farming easier, so that states will now deploy their human resources and get us a lot of food. The food security we are talking about will be guaranteed. And we will no longer rely on oil and oil products.
There just seem to be some problems here and there when you hear about lofty ideas from state governors. Because if you go to all the 5 Southeast states, on paper, there are robust agri programs. But just the problem is that a lot of times we don't get the desired outcomes. And I'm asking this question because I'm just coming up from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, AGN. And for the 2 days it has happened, one thing stood out. There seemed to be some kind of indifference from the government side on issues around optimization of the agri value chain. Because at the end of the day, believe it or not, you cannot make a lot of headway in any state if the government is not signed on to anything you want to do. So is there a way we can have that proper synergy between the government and the organized private sector who are interested in getting into or investing in any of these sectors, especially in the agro-industrialization? Because now it's not just about just planting to consume, it's also about planting to process. So it's a very intricate industry. It's not for all comers. How do you actually identify that this will work and that the people who are coming are going to do the work?
Well, from what I see in Enugu now, I think there is a new paradigm. There's a shift. The state government are truly investing in agriculture. They are truly lifting up agricultural ministry and relying on agriculture on what they use to, move from $3.3 billion GDP to about $30 billion GDP. agriculture is a very serious factor, what they want to rely on. Now, if you see what they are doing, this is just 1 year plus they have done. And even when you look at their budget, you see that they've also relied and invested in agriculture. I don't want to compare the entire Southeast, maybe because of the land holding system, land tenure system. And because if you look at the map of Southeast, the entire Nigerian map, you see that they occupy a very microcosm space. But it is fertile. It is, they can do all year round, not dependent on rain-fed agriculture. They can do irrigation. They can, like what is going on at Ozo 1 now. A lot of, plots are put into use. Like what I can see at Aniri, Oboka, and Dudi. The cassava, harvests and the bioethanol, they want to put it into. Bioethanol, by the way, is like an alcohol. When you get the bioethanol, you can process them further into alcohol, perfumes, and even drugs, and starch. And so what is important is that you have that concept that when you produce, it's not only for consumption. You put some of them into the processes of, industrialization, adding value to that. Now, this crop of governors that have come back, that have come up in Southeast, I have a kind of renewed hope that most of them are not just on paper. What is going on, for instance, in Enugu and in Ebonyi State, the production of rice, ramping up the production of rice,
yes,
investing and making arrangement, the framework is good looking.
There seems to be another challenge, and the challenge, and a lot of people have raised this, that we have an aging population among those who are cultivating our food, and it's a disturbing trend. How do you get that Gen Z boy or girl to be interested in agriculture? I mean, a lot of them think it's too laborious, it's too tedious, it's not something, they would rather go into crypto trade, they would rather go into something that pays them faster and something that's less physically stressful. How do you think this can be a little more attractive? Because, believe it or not, you need a little bit of youth in order to get into agriculture. Yes, you might not be using the hoe or whatever, but then you will have to be young enough to, at least supervise the length and breadth of your farm. If it's large-scale farming, if you have to, get onto a motorized contraption to move around your farm, you will need some energy to do that.
Yes, if you look at what is going on now, what I see a situation where the going to farm is made easier, because I'm not going to sit down here and maybe try to represent government. It is what I see that to make farming easier, the most critical element there is to first of all secure the farmlands. Now, you look at the ones we call smallholder farmers. Smallholder farmers are the ones you are talking about, the peasant farmers, whereby they eke out a living, cultivating themselves using cutlass and hoe, and also put some places, even their backyard, under cultivation. But, for instance, in Enugu, I see large-scale mechanized farming, whereby they have land bank. The land bank is when you have a bank where you can now prepare ground, secure it, and wait for an investor or somebody who wants to go into farming. For instance, all lands don't produce the same thing. The soil type and soil texture and soil system are different. There are some areas that can grow rice. There are some areas that can grow yam. There are some areas that can grow even palm produce that Southeast was noted for during the Obala and the Nnamdi Azikiwe and the Kanu Ibiam era. The truth is that they are still there, but some of the farms needed to be restocked. It is not climbing and using local methods. But if government invests in that, like I mentioned, the UPPL, such is a revolutionary way of turning around, restocking, and getting all the yields from palm produce. Remember, in palm produce, the value chain from like petroleum, they have crude palm oil that also cracked and go down from palm oil to palm kernel and palm kernel cake and so on, and animal feeds. So if they invest, they make it easier for young people. Remember, everybody is crying now. The economy is hard. Where do I go and eke out a living? Service sector like this ICT these service sectors have contributed much to our economy and our GDP. But the real sector, manufacturing sector, industrial sector, agricultural sector, is what we need to go and do. So first of all, if government like Enugu State have prioritized, security, if they secure the places, people can go. What we want is money, no matter how it comes. So if you can go and farm, banana, plantain plantation, cassava plantation, rice plantation, what is going on is looking good. I think they would say have maybe cassava or banana or plantain pyramids in Enugu. So if others should go into farming, make it easier. The young men, some people have graduated, say they're looking for a job, but they're not employable. So when you go and read history or religious studies and theater arts and so on, it's also good, but they are not into real manufacturing sector. They are not into production of food. So you can also have 1 hectare of land under cultivation. If everybody should get that, the aggregation of the farm produce will now push food, the prices will come down, and you can also export and process the excess that you cannot consume. You can also store in silos, only to be released when you have scarcity. So the important thing is that the most critical thing now is to chase those who are living in the forest, those who are creating insecurity, for farmers to go back. We don't used to be all this hungry, even during the war. We were not doing so, but the problem is that people cannot even go to the farm out of fear of either being kidnapped, being killed, being maimed, being attacked by the herdsmen. So if we could achieve at least to secure the farms, then the next thing is making it easier, making available loans and grants, making available tractor hiring or tractor leasing, making available partnership, PPP, where large-scale farmers that I see in Enugu now, they have land bank, they have, if you apply for land, either for 6 months, 6 years, 3 years, that's leasing, short-term lease. I think Enugu State people will make it available to you. So I hope other states will come and copy what is going on in Enugu. What I see now is different from what I've been seeing hitherto. So it is to make farming easier, make it attractive, because you can see the cost of Gary. It is coming down because in the first quarter of this year, the cost of Gary was so high, but everybody has gone into, harvesting cassava, processing it, and getting Gary. When you have Gary, you don't have to go and buy. So the same thing applies to rice, yam, and so on. So it make it, accessible. People can now go to farm. So I think it is be a critical input, a change from just civil service states or civil service environment into a multi-dimensional, economies of South and even in the North, where we are now dependent on yam, dependent on livestock, dependent on tomatoes, and even onions and so on. So we can plant them here using all year-round dry season agriculture. I think the states are prepared to encourage and to make it easier for people to go to their farms now.
I think that would be a good place to leave it. Many other things to ask you, but we're out of time. Thank you so much, Dr. Augustine Okolie is a policy and management consultant and former director of the National Orientation Agency, NOA, Enugu State. Thank you for your analysis.
It's always my pleasure to be here.
On the Eastern Eye. That's the Eastern Eye for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow same time. Up next is Nka with Jumai Bulama Ashebu, JBA. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.